Welcome, everyone, to the Pretty Badass podcast. I am your host, Autumn, and today I have two incredible women with me. I would like to introduce you to Dawn Jordan,
Yes.
also known as Dior,
Yeah.
and we'll get into that later, and Lindsay Solo.
Yes.
You two haven't met yet, and...
Just on Instagram.
Okay, so you are Instagram friends. Great. I don't know. I just thought that you two have a lot in common, so I wanted to introduce you. Other than just both being beautiful blondes, you are both singer-songwriters.
Yes.
And then the other thing for me is that I know you're both pretty religious, at least I consider you to be, and God plays a pretty big part in your lives.
Absolutely.
So it got me thinking because I feel like you've chosen an industry in music where sex sells. So how has that been for two religious girls living in LA trying to pursue something where we all know what everybody wants? So
Yeah. Lindsay, you want to take it away? Start us out?
Sure. It's a constant challenge. I think it's important to know who you are and the values that you do carry as you embark in the entertainment industry and you continue to move forward. I think there's a little room to kind of pivot at times. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the Christian music industry, which I'm actually not.
Yeah,
right?
neither of you are, right? So
Yeah.
you used to do pop music,
Yeah.
and I know that you're doing some transitioning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm transitioning into
Right.
CCM, which is actually very nerve-wracking because
Wow.
of that reason, because I've been in the secular world for
Right.
for a very long time as a songwriter, vocalist, producer. And it's, there's no big limitations there as far as, what you're able to do. But moving into CCM, there is more of like okay, wait, I can't listen to certain or post certain kind of music or, wear certain kind of things, and just being mindful of that because,
yeah, where do you draw the line? Like for me, that's a huge question because even with myself, I have a line, it's like I post for Playboy and yet I have such a strong stance against, OnlyFans. And so who gets to decide the line? What's your line? What's your line?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's something that fascinates me is that, we all have a line. We all have a story. And so
I mean, I definitely haven't done anything perfect, but my line
either.
from the beginning,
I don't think we're
but my line from the beginning, I mean, moving out here at 18 years old, was I don't want to do anything that my nieces and nephews couldn't watch or
Okay.
see.
Right.
So that was kind of my line. And then I never wanted to compromise my body to take a next step in the industry. So that was kind of my line. Like I would never, be intimate with somebody to try to, climb the ladder. I'd rather just
Right.
have it take longer because I feel like the more you work and the more you learn, and it might take longer, but it'll last longer. The things that come quick will end quick,
absolutely.
I
and you're
agree.
not as respected.
And that's your moral compass, or is that because you are, I mean, I guess in some cases it goes hand in hand, but some people find that, religion kind of keeps them on the straight and narrow. And then some people maybe have both, but it's their moral compass that, like, have you always been religious or
Yeah.
even
yeah.
when you were in the pop industry?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like my calling or what I feel I was put on this earth to be is to be a light to the world. So whether
I
it's
do,
yay.
But Lindsay,
So sharing that.
and that's why I really
Yeah.
wanted you two to meet, because Lindsay is like that, and she speaks so, like, sometimes I think that you could really just take off in the Christian industry, because you really do have this voice that I think comes from a higher power. And,
Thank you.
you know, sometimes, and I think I've talked to you about this, that I'm a little envious of your relationship with God, because I grew up Christian, but I'm not really that religious. I find myself following more of a spirituality, and there have been. Why do I always do this? I get emotional.
Oh
I
my
guess
gosh, me too.
That's
I'm like
amazing.
a crying person all the time. So
That means you
you're
care.
fine. Yeah.
It is. I think
Yeah, that's right.
It's why you're on here, because I think
Yeah.
you're all pretty badass. But
We need tissues though.
Yes.
I'm failing as being a host. I need tissues. I think it's because I'm trying to hope that we don't cry. But for me, I do feel like if I did have a better relationship with God, my mental health might not have gotten so bad. And so do you feel like God has, you know, or still does, has lifted you out of things? And is that your biggest tool for mental health?
For me, yes. I'm sure you feel the same.
I do. Yeah.
And I've told you,
I mean, we've gone to church together and
Yes.
we shared.
I
like,
want to
some-
go to church with you guys.
We can definitely
we should
go
all,
to church.
all
Like,
go.
It's interesting for me. It's like, I don't know why I don't go more often, and maybe I feel like an imposter or something, but when I go, I just feel so good. And like, it's
Yes.
almost as if what they're speaking about, it's speaking to me, and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, they knew I was
Right.
coming, and
We
like,
made a phone call. We're like, hey, could you really speak
But-
about this today? No.
I know that you lend your voice spiritually and in the music world so often on your story. And I just really I thought there's some reason these two have to meet. And so it's interesting that I chose this moment, but maybe it just took, you know, organizing something like this to get you both
I love it.
together.
It's a divine moment.
That's right. Divine timing.
And
It is.
thank you. And then to kind of answer your question, well, it was a question and a statement. You said you were envious. And my statement back to you is anyone can have a relationship with God. And the only reason, and I'm still growing because I'm not perfect, like you said, I'm still growing my relationship with God. But I would say that I've noticed that it's almost like a friendship. You have to keep pouring back into God for him to pour into you. And he can find you wherever you are. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what you've done. And he can meet you there, but you also have to be open. And so I've noticed that with God, that as long as we're open, then he's right there in a heartbeat.
So this is going to sound ridiculous because I know you can. But maybe for other people that are listening that feel like, yeah, but I'm a little bit different, or like, how does a bad girl be like a child of God? Because I find that it's like people would probably say like, she's a hypocrite because on one hand, you know, she's going to go to church, but I am kind of a wild, risque type person that pushes the boundaries. Like sometimes I just want to be naked in a photo and just be free. And so
Right.
how do I find that balance of, you know, loving God, feeling accepted by, I guess maybe I shouldn't worry about, because it's something that anywhere you are, not worrying about what the other people think of you.
Absolutely.
Because that definitely goes in my head. I'm from this, you know, the Bible Belt. It's like North Florida.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy,
like that too.
it's like I could see people saying like, yeah, right, you know.
People will say the most random things anyway, because as a kid, I was a child actress. I was on a kids' TV show for many years. It was on a Christian network. And I remember, I know you guys are going to be shocked. My hair is actually brown.
I think, look, my hair's up right now, so you can
I know
see
you're
the
shocked.
okay,
I know
we
you
can
thought I was a
still-
natural blonde,
We can
but
still hang out.
but I remember somebody making a comment and saying, "Oh, you know, you changed your hair color. You are for the devil now."
Oh wow.
And I'm like, this is my hair color. Like people will pick on the smallest thing. So
Yeah.
really, it's you know, at the end of the day,
Being authentic.
being authentic to who you are, doing it respectfully. God created your body. Now, how you want to display it, that's your choice, right?
That's where that line comes
That's where
back
that
in.
line is, right?
Well,
If
he
you're
gives
like,
us free
"Woo!"
will,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So,
He
Okay.
does embrace the feminine and the masculine. He embraces both. And he wants us to feel beautiful. And if you feel beautiful doing certain things, that's fine. I think there is a line that, well, it depends on the person, but like I draw the line, like how she mentioned with children. I have a lot of children that view my Instagram stories and parents and families. And so I try to kind of
I think that's a good guiding point.
portray myself in a way that they feel comfortable, where they don't have to censor me. This sounds funny, but I do try not to say the F word on my Instagram stories or in my posts. And it's something that I'm conscious of because I could easily slip and do that. And then I'm even trying to work on myself with that at times. And it's not necessarily that it's so bad. It's just more about, and to answer your other question, the way to get closer to God, and this is from Apostle Catherine Crick, and I'm still learning about it, even being a Christian my whole life, is the more humble you are and the more of a childlike heart that you can have, that's where you'll find him. So it doesn't really matter what we wear. It does to an extent because you're calling in things, right? Because there is temptation in the world and things like that. And I do believe there's a spiritual realm of good and evil. So you are calling in certain things, but if you can have that childlike heart, that's where you can grow your relationship with God and yourself and self-love.
I like
so
that. 'Cause
anyone
I'm kind
can
of
approach
a
that.
kid at heart, so that helps
Yeah.
me maybe find a channel to reach God more and still be in alignment with myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Sorry, I
No,
just
go
want to say
ahead.
this real quick because you had mentioned, it's like a friend that you have a relationship with. And one of the things, touching on the mental health side, because there are times, I have been through many ups and downs, especially through the pandemic. It was like the social media was like very daunting and just like emotional. It got me really emotional, and I got into a very depressed place. And I'm like, what is going on? And I realized that I wasn't having gratitude and I wasn't praying as much as I probably should have,
Right.
And so being mindful of like, okay, hold on, why am I feeling this way? And then once you target it, you're like, okay, let me humble myself. And maybe you feel like you can't have a relationship, but what I do is, one, have gratitude, right?
Absolutely.
And saying like,
gratitude is-
thank you.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of universal with, religions, at least
Right.
that I've seen and felt. So in a lot of ways, I am close to God. It's just I have a different way of doing it.
Totally.
But
There's one more thing.
see, I love her.
I know. Here we go.
I have one more thing too.
We'll be in church all day.
How long
We'll
is this
transition the subject.
Reverend Lindsay.
We'll transition the subject. I know. I think God has another calling on my life that I'm just now learning about in worship as a leader. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you might be.
No, but we can, so through prayer, like if you're consistent with that, you'll hear God's voice more the more you do it. And he can reach anyone and work with anyone. So like, for example, it doesn't have to be that you're going to church every Sunday and wearing the perfect dress and praying every day and opening your Bible, although that's favorable because we do get closer to him if we do that. He can reach some random person on the street that was completely selling their body the night before, and they have this moment where they're like, you know what, God, I need you. That's when he meets us. It doesn't matter who we are or what we've done. He can reach any of us. And he
we've seen
uses
that
people.
so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those inspiring stories. So
He uses all of us.
Yeah. And you just never know when that's going to be. And just being, I don't know, aware of those moments and being like, wow, why did I stop at this place? That actually happened to me last night. I went and I needed some water. My house is under construction, so my kitchen is a disaster. I'm like, I need bottled water.
That's tough. Yes.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this place. They're out. I'm like, okay, let me go to this other place. And I'm like, this is so random, but whatever. So I went to this gas station got some water and started having a conversation about the big lottery thing that's going on, right? And this man, his name was Ruben. So if he's watching, it was such an incredible moment because you could tell that, like, you know, I asked him, oh, what would you do? Like, what would you do if you won? And, you know, and he talked about his kids, and he started slowly opening up, and it was kind of just like divine timing. And he just felt super comfortable to tell me about his story. And I could relate so much with what he was saying. I'm like, totally get it that you grew up in a hard life, and like, you know, you've had to work really hard your entire life and nothing was handing you, whatever. And so we started talking, and he was like, yeah, I used to go to church. My son is actually, you know, a Christian, and, you know, I used to go to church, but, you know, there were so many dark people. There are people that on the outside, when they go to church, they're like this light, and they're, you know, a certain kind of way, but in their home, it's much different. And I was telling him, I said, you know, wherever there's people, there's going to be problems. You have to find what works for you, and, you know, whatever it is that you're going through. And he like opened to me about being in dark places. I'm like, what is going on? I should
And
be a
you
therapist.
just wanted to go get
I'm
water.
like, I just wanted
and
water.
So you guys made that connection.
Yeah. And I was like, but we started talking about God and how he can meet you where you're. And he said, even though I don't go to church because I've been hurt by people in the church, he goes, even in my darkest moment, God was there. Like, I know because he stopped me. And I said, absolutely. So wherever you are in your life, like if you're in desperation, all you have to do is say it, like, God, I need you right now.
Yeah,
and then talk to them like a friend. Like, sometimes I'll journal, like, dear God, and it's a prayer, but I'm journaling like I'm writing a note to a friend in high school, right?
Yeah, he
whatever it
hears
is
it
that
all.
I'm going through. And it's amazing what can happen just from that. And so anyways, divine timing of like,
Yes.
you don't know who you're going to touch or what can change.
Well, I
just by
definitely
you.
think
Yeah.
you both should go into the Christian music, like I said.
You asked a good
and
question.
I'm glad that you are. I want to talk a little bit about your career path. I know that you've done some really cool things, Lindsay, like Michael Bolton,
Thank you.
for one. Like,
Yes.
you guys sang together. And I want to know about that experience. And was that your favorite performance, or do you have something else that tops that for you?
I would say that was my favorite. I've had many incredible experiences in LA, thanks to God. And I truly believe that. And Michael's team found me through lighting. They were looking for lighting on YouTube, and they saw my music video, and a friend of a friend called, and they said, would you be available to do a few duets? And I said, of course. And no rehearsal, and it went really well. And I couldn't believe it because it was one of those moments that I had been praying for. And, you know, you grow up listening to a legend like that in your parents' van, singing a Disney song. Yes, absolutely. And he has short hair now, and it looks great. But it looked great before too. But
I mean, he could totally grow it out. And
right.
Like, you know.
And
someone tried to hook me up with him one time.
No way.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah.
Michael
We
Bolton.
never I mean, I could see myself. What was his ex? Sheridan.
I'm so bad with that.
Nicole Sheridan.
Yes.
And I was just like, well, I could kind of see myself being like, you know, her. Like,
Right? Well, he has a great
her
sense
little
of humor.
doppelganger, like, kind of thing. But yeah, someone was like, I'm gonna try to like set you up with him, and I was like, you know, I was like, it never happened. So, you know, I can't wait.
Right?
Like, Michael, if you're out there,
We will put it into the world.
like, my muscles in my face are like.
I mean, I
No,
think
I'm
he's
just
single,
kidding.
so you never know. Like,
No,
we'll see.
no, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
We'll pray about it.
Michael.
Just kidding.
I just like to add humor to things.
No, I
you
love
know.
it. You can't
Hey,
do
you
life.
never know.
You can't do life without humor. But no, he has a great sense of humor, by the way. He's funny, sarcastic. And so we had no rehearsal, which was nerve-wracking, right? We had a quick sound check. And so there's a lot of responsibility on you as the performer, and they trust you. And I'm so glad that they put that trust in me. It went well. And, you know, they had a car for me, and it was just
It just
a
felt special,
beautiful
like you had
moment.
arrived.
Yes. And they said, we have Lindsay like on the walkie talkie when I arrived. Like, oh, they have me.
I love it.
So it was one of those moments also where you kind of pinch yourself, because if you think about it, you hear his voice when you're growing up and on the radio and on television. And then when you're about to sing with him, those voices are in the world and all of a sudden coming together. And you don't really know what that's going to sound like until you hear it. And so I got chills, and it was an amazing experience. Another incredible experience I had was with Lorenzo Quinn and writing a song for his sculpture, Give and Receive. The more you give in life, the more you receive. And he asked me to write this song. And I said, how am I going to write a song about a sculpture? And he was like, you can do it. He's like, I trust you. And so we hired Jared Lee, who's another incredible singer-songwriter, and a few team members he works with, and sat down. And that was my first experience in LA, to sit down with a group of writing partners and just focus and just get it out. And whatever idea you had, they were at the keyboard like right away, putting it down and like throwing out lyrics. And it was fun because we would bounce ideas off of one another. And some people I've noticed don't like to collaborate.
Dawn is
with other
a
songwriters
writer and a producer, so I'm sure
Amazing.
I love it.
I love it.
I actually
realized
prefer it because you get so many other ideas and
Yes.
perspectives where, you know, if you're open to creating the best idea for the song, then, you know, more people, more brains,
Right.
better than one, I feel like.
So I realized I did prefer to collaborate with others than doing it alone when it comes to
So,
songwriting.
Speaking of like a preference, what genre is your preference? Like, I know you're moving into Christian music.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be an easier route for you, or just because it's more in line with what you like?
That's
I
exciting.
mean, it is really
congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. Yeah, it's something that it's so new that it almost feels like, okay, like I'm doing this, but it's nerve-wracking because, like we said before, with being in the secular world, and I want to make sure that I'm being an example and all those things that
The
go into
judgment
it.
that's going to come.
As far as the genre, I mean, I love pop music. My background is R&B, gospel, pop. But I have a lot of influences. I grew up listening to the radio all the time, so I'd flip around the different like stations. So
Britney Spears.
Yeah, but even more so like Stevie Wonder and like just amazing.
I went to his concert.
I know, I was so
recently.
jealous. I was so jealous.
I mean,
So
if a man
amazing.
can make you cry, he can make you cry. He's just, it was an incredible
Yeah.
experience. So
I saw him at NAMM. He did not see me, but it was a bad joke. But yeah, he was, it was so bad. No, not funny.
But
okay.
he actually makes jokes about things.
No,
like
he
so
was,
in the
I was,
concert.
I have an original photo.
Are you trying
of-
to get me canceled?
No,
it's just
is that a
second
cancel
episode.
thing? No, it's not a cancel thing.
I'm just
he's super
kidding.
sweet. I was
No,
like,
he makes
Stevie.
jokes.
He was like, hey, baby.
You know, he's so sweet. I did get to do a jam session with him.
No
You
way.
did?
How
That was
fun.
unreal.
I forgot you
with
told
Quincy
me about
Jones.
that.
That
See,
was,
these moments.
awesome.
Like,
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you if I can talk about it, but it's something that it's why I think that I don't know why it gets to me. Can I talk to you about your side hustle?
I have many.
Well, the one that got me a little teared up.
Yeah, sure.
And okay, so
Absolutely. Let's put it out there.
I-
The more real we are, people
So-
can maybe feel relatable.
yeah,
You know.
and I think it is relatable, but it's also, and it shouldn't be such a big deal, but for me, it is.
I was doing it yesterday.
Good. I mean, not good, but you're so humble, and
Thank you.
I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but it's you know, we're sitting on my sofa and just kind of, I wish we would have recorded the
Yeah, it
conversations
was
that
so
both
good.
of us had
Yeah.
prior to this, because even though we're being very real and vulnerable right now, sitting on my sofa with no cameras, you get all the nitty gritty. And so Lindsay and I were reconnecting, and we were just talking about different things in life. And she told me that, because she's done these incredible things, that for her side hustle, in order to keep pursuing her passion, she drives for Uber Eats.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I just started crying. Like, and I think it's because for me, I know so many different types of people. Okay. So like I have porn star friends.
Right.
I have my Christian friends. I have people that, work as escorts.
So you're basically like Jesus, actually.
Yeah,
He hung out with
Okay.
everyone.
That's right.
Just
That's right.
All
You
right,
did.
all right. That's a lot of pressure, but I do try to accept everyone as they are. And so I have people that they, sell themselves to make it in this city because it's not easy. And I'm not judging it, but to know that someone is, could easily get a sugar daddy or get the handouts or start a foot OnlyFans. I don't know.
A foot only, yes.
Like
Hands only.
like
No.
hands, that you were like, I'm going to drive Uber Eats. And you were embarrassed to tell me about it at the time.
It wasn't the easiest.
And I told her she should start like a TikTok where she's
Yeah.
singing as she's delivering food. But we do live in a society where people are going to, she drives Uber Eats. Like, how embarrassing, when they might have an OnlyFans, and like, I
Right.
commend you for taking that route
Yeah.
Thank
versus something that might just give you more access to money more easily
on my own
and
time. Yeah.
on your own time. And so for me, I don't really know why it hit me, but I kept thinking that, for one, I was just that I connected with you in a lot of ways, because despite the fact that, yeah, I do crazy things and I live a certain life, I do draw the line at things. And I mean, of course, there's been times where, I had 39 cents in my bank account. And this was when, I guess it was 15, maybe 10 years ago. I don't even know. And a lot of my friends, were escorting and driving nice cars and doing all these things. And there was a moment that I questioned, could I do that? And I thought, no. And I used to joke that I'll spend all my money that I earned in therapy, which I do that now anyway.
Right. Therapy's great.
But I guess it just made me feel connected because, and maybe I'm going to get canceled for this one, but, and this cancel culture, I
It's
just
so
don't
hard.
get it. But
Yeah.
there is a difference between someone that is attractive and the options that they have in life. They are different, and they do carry some other things, like there's talk of privilege and things like that. Well, certainly I've had privilege, because of the way that I look, but I will also tell you that I have had a lot of sexual harassment. I thought it was my fault. I thought that it was things that I deserved. And so I don't,
Same.
it's like,
And it's weird how it messes with your brain. You're like, I
and
should
so
have
many
known.
women
You're
are
Right.
like that. And
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
why I don't, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm just going to say how I feel. It's just that I thought, well, here's this beautiful girl that could clearly have those opportunities to do things a little easier. And then you're driving Uber Eats instead.
Yes.
So
I love that though.
It's-
It's
Thank
so
you.
real and raw, and it's actually more relatable. And I feel like there are so many artists.
So many.
Anybody in the entertainment industry, they just, to have the courage to admit it, that is bold.
yeah. Like it
And
gives me
I
chills.
love that.
Yeah,
me
created
too. I'm
TikTok.
like, yeah,
it's
totally.
Why is it any different than being a bartender or working at a restaurant? And but people even make fun of that, where they're like, "Oh, you're an actress, but you work at a restaurant."
Struggle, or what is it called?
The struggling
artist. Or
the struggling
whatever.
artist,
Yeah.
and like,
And not to mention, it's not that I'm in a Lamborghini SUV either, driving Uber Eats. I'm in my little Acura that's like my best friend that has high mileage.
Yeah.
but
cars
you know,
God
it's-
and your Acura are your best friends.
seriously,
There's
I have
your,
two
there's
best
your
friends.
TikTok name.
There you go.
We can't leave out my little chihuahua, but no, it's also inspiring for me to hear that it affected you like that, because it's also been humbling for me. I've had to also check myself, because at first I was adverse to it. I said no. I remember being on the phone, I think with my mom, saying, I can't believe I have to do this now. This is what my life has come to, because you're right. You do all these incredible experiences, and then you have this, and all of a sudden it's more quiet, but really it grows resilience. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it really does. And it grows character and integrity. And I've noticed that it's also how you look at it, because at first I was more negative about it. Now I have my moments. I'm not perfect, but there's moments where I try to romanticize it. And if you try to romanticize your life, you'll notice that, like with Uber Eats, for example, you're getting the keys to Los Angeles in a backwards way that I didn't know existed. So you're seeing people and homes you had no idea were there. I've, driven into so many different neighborhoods that are so beautiful, and I personally wouldn't be trying to find them if someone wasn't placing an order for a salad. And so you also get great tips, and you feel good at the end of the day because you helped someone nourish themselves or get what they need. And then you get to go home and you can turn it off, and you worked. You still worked, and you worked hard. And it's still easier for me than bartending, because in that environment, I don't really feel like myself.
This is why Pretty Badass is authenticity.
Yes.
And I do want to kind of come back around and say that maybe it sounded like I was being judgmental about certain types of people. But as I said, that I have many friends. But what makes someone badass to me is that they are following their true self. So say you were a Christian and you really wanted to be a porn star. That's not very badass, right?
Right.
But if you're a porn star and you really want to be Christian, that's not very badass. But if you own whoever you are,
Yes.
no matter what it is, that to me shows that you're badass.
Yeah.
And you're really living your true self.
Right.
And so I kind of want to drive that home, because and later I guess I'll have to talk about on other shows, so don't kill me for the OnlyFans chatter or whatever. It's like I have reasons, and I think it goes back to because it's so accessible to young people. I won't say who, but there are young people in my life that use that as a resource. And I didn't think that they were protected as much as they should have been.
Right.
So I feel like if you're in the adult industry, they're checking IDs, you're getting tested, you're doing all of this, and it's your career, But when you're doing something like OnlyFans that you can pretend that you're a different age, you can do it from your parents' bathroom. I don't think that there's enough safety and design around that. And I think it got, especially I'm sure that COVID kind of, was a big reason why it took off so much, that people were home, they needed more income. And I just don't think that it was thought through. And then now I feel like we have this, to me, I think it's a huge problem. And I will continue to address it. And I think I need to find ways to finesse how I speak about it, because I do know people that do it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Well,
they may be like, Autumn's a bitch.
No, not even.
Because she just
I think
said.
what I think about is like the longevity, right? And once you open yourself up to that line of work, whether it's, being an escort, because we have mutual friends that are in that industry.
Right.
And for some reason, God preserved me with all those friends, thank goodness. But like, what I think about is, once you enter that world and you make a certain number, it's really, really hard to get out.
It is.
For these girls. And there's usually, drugs are involved, alcohol's involved, and it gets worse from there. There's only a few people that I know of that have, transformed their life, but even still, it's a struggle for them. And I think about, longevity and how are these, we're all going to get old and wrinkly one day.
Yeah, and how do you want to be remembered?
Maybe it won't be such a big
What's your
deal.
legacy?
What's your legacy?
I
Yeah.
mean, I can speak to some of that because it's like back in the day when I did Playboy, oh my gosh, I remember it was like there was just this cloud over my head that if certain people found out, even certain jobs, that I was like, oh gosh, or I had a boss that was sexually harassing me and pulled it up on his phone and was like, you're not a good girl if I can find this on you, kind of thing. And I thought, I actually tried to quit my job. It's the job that I still have now, in biotech, that I thought, wait, he's right, And then now to think that Playboy is nothing.
Right.
Playboy's like, oh, that's like
like
you went and bought.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you have an Instagram account. And so, I mean, maybe OnlyFans will be.
Oh, that's so
Like,
scary to think, like,
Well,
where's
yeah,
it
then
going to go now?
at that point, then like, what are we doing? And or maybe it will,
I
go
think they're trying to
back.
change it into a different kind of experience because they have been getting a bad rep for all the
Yes.
adult industry. So they're trying to do personal training and gaming and,
Right.
kind of move into that direction. But it's so challenging. And, the biggest thing is just like most of these people don't really have a clear direction of how, if they are going to get into it, how they're going to get out to it. So
Right.
9 times out of 10, they're making all this money, they're spending all the money,
Correct.
and then they're left with nothing
Yeah.
Exactly.
at the end of the day. And what do you do?
And they're
The
not
system is
safe.
broken.
They're
Right.
not
It's-
safe from trafficking.
Oh, trafficking.
Yeah.
It leads to
Yeah.
other open doors that you would not.
Like I said,
want.
children that are posing as older.
Right.
It's just dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
So
It's very
anyway,
dangerous.
But it's
I'm
hard.
not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
segued from the Uber Eats, but it's just, it's commendable
It's
that
so
you've,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've chosen something that isn't as
Thank you.
lucrative, isn't as glamorous, because it is glamorous to be a very well-paid OnlyFans girl, in some people's eyes. But you've chosen something that is,
Commendable.
kind of looked down
you.
upon in some
Right.
ways,
It's
where
interesting
like,
who you speak to because a few of my friends are like, "Oh, you're still doing that?"
like, oh,
Or,
I'm so embarrassed.
Oh, that's great. Like it just depends
Yeah.
on who you speak to. So that's where again, it has to be you authentically, like showing up every day saying, "Okay, is this for me? Okay, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks." And then of course, I do commercials and
Yeah, I know
modeling
you,
on the side, but it's not
as
always
we
consistent.
know,
It's
it
not
doesn't-
consistent.
and they don't pay that much.
No, not
I
anymore.
did Men's Health magazine back in the day. I think
It's
I
not the
made
same.
$300 or $500. I don't even know. I mean,
Right.
it's like because there's people that are willing to do it for free because you need the
Right.
resume or whatever the case may be. So.
I just think it's so cool that these people are getting food from such a talented person.
I
They have
know.
no idea.
Well,
It's like, could you imagine Adele doing that and being like,
She probably would, though.
She brought my
I love
salad.
her.
you know?
Right,
Like,
it's so
that is
cute.
so
Actually,
cool.
there
That is
was one
awesome.
person. It's funny that you say that. There was one person that popped their head over this like huge gate, and they were like, "Wait, like you sing?" Because in the profile you can put like what you do and
Oh, cool.
Why don't
like
you be
why
like
you're
a
doing
singing
it.
Chef?
Yes.
You know
I
how
know.
they have singing chefs? She's the singing Uber Eats girl.
Eats.
Speaking
Right?
of, because I wanted to ask you both, would either of you like to sing something?
Oh, I guess we could
On the spot.
on the spot, off the
Sorry,
cuff.
I mean, I was. You can always say no. My last guest, she's like, no. She's authentic, She's pretty badass. She's like, no. But
I'm like,
So,
well, you should have told me
you-
that earlier.
Right.
you can
A
think
quick
about
clip.
it.
I'm like,
yeah,
where's the
Maybe
water?
even some opera or some, drink your tea.
The little
Maybe
tea,
some
yes.
opera or something. 'Cause
Okay,
I know,
so
like,
that's amazing that you sing
remember?
opera, by the way.
remember,
Thank you.
oh, we did this super funny thing that we were like, okay, you're gonna sing something and then I'm gonna try to sing
Oh,
it
I saw
back.
that video.
Oh my gosh,
And
that was
but I
so funny.
surprised myself. I was like, oh,
Yeah, you're
I was
like, oh, I'm actually really good. Maybe I can be
Yes,
an opera
right?
singer. I think
And
you
I-
said, right?
I was like, this
You
is
found your
fun.
calling.
It was fun.
Yes.
And we love
I do
Disney
remember.
songs.
Yes,
Oh,
I
so
love Disney songs.
Maybe
I always will.
mean, whatever.
I always
Look at
thought
this
I'd get into
stuff.
opera when I was
Isn't
a kid.
it neat?
Yeah, there you go.
Wouldn't you think my collection's complete?
Yes, sing.
Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? Look
got-
at this
Oh
treasure.
yeah, I'm like, what is the line?
Treasures untold.
The lyric.
I know. What is the lyrics? I don't know.
I figured
It's been
if I did something like that,
Yeah,
that she
I
would
love it.
Thank
she
you.
would jump in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing.
but no, so I just in singing for me, like it's just it makes me so happy to listen to it, to even try to play around with it. So it's what brought me close to both of you. And
Thank you.
So yeah, you don't have to sing
so
something else if you don't want. But tell me, okay, so before we wrap things up, I
Yeah.
want to know what's like. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's happening with your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last, I about 5 years ago, I did my last international tour, and that was incredible. And I came back and I was like,
That
what
was
am I
in
going to do?
Asia, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to 5 different countries, super fun,
Amazing.
Armed Forces Entertainment. It was incredible. And I came back on this high, like, okay, what am I going to do next? Am I going to go into writing again, go into the studio, whatever it is? And then as I was starting to figure that out, I got connected with this man, Corbin Dooley, and he was looking to work with female artists. And so we worked on a couple of songs, didn't really think anything of it. And then my mom was in a really bad car accident. She was
my
hit by a
goodness.
drunk driver on Mother's Day. It was this
my
whole
goodness.
thing. And so I went from, growing the fan base and posting all the time and doing this incredible tour to literally like just wanting to make sure that my mom lived. And
Right.
she did, which is amazing. And so when that happened, it was about 2 years of no music. So I finally got to this point where I'm like, I just miss it because it's so a part of my identity. I've been doing it professionally since I was 7. And my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, he was like, you need to call Corbin. You guys were doing some great stuff. And I'm like, okay. So over the last 2 years, actually, that conversation led to me coming on the team full time, writing, doing vocals, producing, basically using all the talents. I got to a point where I was like, I don't even need to be the person on stage. I just want to use all these talents and things that I've learned over the years. And I just want to use my talents however God wants.
Amazing.
And he opened this opportunity literally the next day. It was like,
love it.
I
met
love
me
that.
right at the right time.
Yes.
And over the last 2 years, I've been like full-time salary employee.
Wow.
We've done 11 albums in
11.
different
Amazing.
genres.
Lucky number.
Like I would have never. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But
That is.
yeah, we've done anything from not opera, but we've done metal and
You
reggae.
should add opera
and-
I know.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. Pop and funk and all these different genres that as a pop R&B artist, I would never venture into necessarily. But
Right.
to be able to write a great song that can cross over genres was really
Yes.
exciting. So that's kind of what I've been up to the last 2 years. And now I'm getting ready to move into CCM, so Christian contemporary music, and starting to write and explore that world. And I'm freaked out and I'm scared because
so
I'm like, I don't know it.
exciting.
As well as I know, the secular world, but that's kind of the goal, and hopefully, do some tours and do the whole artist thing again. I haven't
Yes.
been I've been in the in the back and behind the scenes helping other artists, which I love to be the support, and but yeah, so kind of taking that leap of faith of going, okay,
Good.
That's so
Here we go.
exciting.
Lindsay,
It
do
is,
you have anything that you want to share?
Well, I think some things are in the works. So I'm open to whatever God has for me, and I'm excited. I think it's important to try to stay as excited as possible and curious.
Well,
And
I know good things are coming your way.
Thank you. I'm really, really ready. And I've told God that. I'm like, okay, because I've had, before the pandemic, so many exciting opportunities. And then the pandemic, kind of flipped a lot of us a little upside down. But
they're just on pause.
exactly.
So
They're on pause.
I know things are.
And I just
They're
had
brewing under there.
Yes, I had a beautiful meeting a few days ago that was a surprise out of the blue, and the feelers are out there, and so some really exciting news is traveling right now. So we'll see what we come back with.
Awesome.
Good.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited, and I know that there are so many great things coming for you both.
Thank you.
And you.
Well,
Yes,
You're
and
just
you.
crushing it. I love
well,
it.
I don't know. Sometimes, I mean,
No.
it's like this pretty badass movement that I have going on within myself. It's a day-to-day thing. I mean,
I think that's for everyone, though.
Yeah.
and it is,
I
and that's
mean-
why I wanted to do this. It's like, and I spoke about it on the last podcast, that I did hesitate to get into this right now because I'm going through so many transitions, but we always
feel the same.
are. And
There's never a good time.
right,
That's
there's
right. You just
never a
have to
good
do
time.
it.
And I do have so many things to be grateful for, and
Right.
I'm trying to focus on those, and the ones that aren't working out, there's a reason why they're not working out.
Right.
And for me, like, love is the most important thing to me, and so that happens to be where things are tricky, but so it's hard not to get down on that stuff, but I'm putting so much focus on myself and growing my business.
Your self-love.
It's self-love, and it's
beautiful.
really putting all of my energy into myself. And so when people talk about, self-love, it's not just going and getting a massage or getting your nails done.
It's true.
Really investing in yourself. And so this podcast is investing in myself. Spending time with people that inspire me is
Yeah.
investing in myself.
We're so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
Well, I want to know from each of you 3 things
Okay.
that you think make
3.
you pretty badass.
Oh.
Cool.
Well, I feel like, wait, maybe you should go first.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we
I
should
love
go
that
back
you
and forth.
chickened
I don't know. Well,
These are good
I was
questions.
kind of thinking about that because I watched the episode and you asked that question. I'm like, I know she's probably going to ask this, but you didn't do 3. You only did 1.
know,
so I
I
was only
switched it
prepared
up.
for 1 now. I don't know. I think like growing up, I came from very humble beginnings and didn't have a whole lot of direction, but I knew that I had a purpose, and that purpose was to be a light to the world. And I've wanted and I want to do that with music. And
Amazing.
I think never forgetting my calling and figuring out and finding mentorship to progress, because I didn't really have that growing up. So I feel like, if you don't have mentorship to get you there, how are you supposed to know? I haven't done everything perfect. I can
So being
always
able
get
to ask
better.
for help.
But yeah, asking for help and surrounding your people that are going to be smarter than you and better than you so you can excel, right?
Yes.
So I feel like for many years I've been, trucking on and not giving up, even though I had circumstances that other people would have given up and said, well, I didn't come from this, or I wasn't able to do that, So I think that's pretty
That's
badass.
perfect.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I
I'm
definitely.
like, I don't know.
Hey,
I don't
if
feel
it's
very
badass to
badass
you,
all the
then
time,
that's it. That's pretty badass.
just not
What
giving
about
up on
you,
the dream.
Lindsay?
I think I have a resilient heart, and I think that's
know you
kind of
do.
been gifted to me. I've been through so many different things like we all have in love, in life, in family, and somehow I always find a way to renew my heart and my spirit. And I think it's so important to, as we're trying to stay authentic, to remember that about ourselves. And another one would be, I really do advocate for myself. I've had to learn to do that. And I've had people say, you really do speak up when you need to. So I think it's really important to speak up more nowadays, of course, and to just stay as vocal but kind. There's a way to do it that's loving as possible, and then just having that that drive, like you talked about the calling. I'm not trying to say exactly what you said, but it's within me too, and knowing that it's there and being able to recognize that and having that responsibility as a strong woman to say, okay, I'm going to make a stand. This is what I'm going to do. And for me personally, it's doing it for God. I hope I can reach as many people by doing that in the secular world. And if God calls me to Christian music, I'm open to it. But I think, he wants to use me in different worlds right now. I really do. I think it's interesting. So I'm still on that discovery path, but.
Yeah.
Well, I resonate with what you both said. The calling, my calling is slightly different, because for me, my calling is to reach as many people as possible to talk about my story, from literally being at death's door, pretty depressed,
Right.
to pulling myself out of that dark hole. Here I go again.
Yes, which you did.
To this pretty badass person, and
Let's go.
speaking up for myself, and
Yes.
so that I'm really excited about. So thank you both for being here.
Well, thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
If you enjoyed, please follow, subscribe,
Yeah.
and we love, this has just been amazing. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
No matter the wave I'm riding, tell me, have you decided? 'Cause either way